Office vacancies hit new record. And that's initially the headline's very catchy. What? Anytime you hear a new record, the heat, it's a record hot. And people they don't know how it's a record heat wave. We've never been so hot. Like, oh my goodness. It just is so embarrassingly ignorant. Ignorant just means they don't know. Doesn't mean they're dumb, just means they don't know. And they follow the headlines, they follow the propaganda on the climate. It's actually quite sad. There's literally people, young people, who are so scared about the climate, they're in panic mode. It's kind of like how I was about nuclear bombs back when I was coming up. Saw that movie The Day After. Remember The Day After? And I saw it scared me to freaking, like, literally, it was panic mode for me for probably a couple years. The freaking scumbags. Scumbags who produce that claptrap really ticked me off. But don't you know about Hiroshima and Nagasaki? Yeah, okay. I'm getting that here, but okay. Anyway, and don't you know that what Israel is doing to Gaza is worse than what the U.S. did to Dresden? Weird. Did the German innocents deserve that? The people in Tokyo, Tokyo was leveled more than Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Did they deserve that? Anyway, so we got, what's that dog? Someone's about to start. Oh, hold on a second. So we get these scary headlines all the time, and the office vacancies, the highest ever. And you're like, oh, that's scary, right? I had a guy, we'll call him Greg. Greg the straight leg. Anyone knows what a straight leg is? Put in the show notes down below. So Greg emails me, and as I'm working with Greg's crushing. He's not running out of money. He's going to be fine. You know what I'm saying? And look at that. Ooh. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. All right, so I had to change locations because puppies, yeah, I'm looking at you. Puppies want to go outside, take care of the business in the cold. It's cold there. Anyway, so Greg emails me, and he's worried, not panicked, but worried. And Greg's crushing is like literally hardly any way for Greg not to make ends meet in retirement. But he's worried, and that's okay. He's like, I don't get this, man. It doesn't make any sense. What's going on in the economy with the debt levels, the deficits, blah, 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 blah. And I just, the funny thing is it doesn't need to make sense. It doesn't need to make sense. We've never had this much debt. The deficits are just additions to the debt. You know what I'm saying? The unemployment rate supposedly is, well below historical norms. I mean, none of this makes any sense, man. Oh boy, knucklehead over there. But anyway, so a lot of people will leech on whatever to a headline like this, and they'll say this just adds to the nervousness. And I'm just going to share with you why Pablo, it doesn't have to make sense, and you don't need. Just chill. All right, Pablo wants to say hello. Come here. Yeah, I'm here, Pablo. Come here. All right. Pablo wants to say hi. There he is. There he is. Look at that. Look at those teeth. Like that breath. Haven't brushed, haven't showered, haven't shaved, haven't done nothing except read. And I felt like it. Look at that teeth. Oh, boy. Stone Pablo. Offices around America hit a new vacancy record. The 19.6% of office space that isn't leased is the highest since at least 1979. America's offices are emptier than any other point in at least 4 decades, reflecting years of overbuilding and shifting work habits that are accelerated by the pandemic. What I call the pandemic. A staggering 19.6% of office space in major U.S. cities wasn't leased at the end of the fourth quarter. Right. The new record shows how remote work has upended the office market. Well, wait. 19.6. This is 84 to 94. And that was almost 19%. So while this is high, I mean, was this a recession? Was this a depression? I don't get it. And so then right here in 1979, which is as far back as Moody's data goes. I mean, what happened there? There wasn't much remote work. That was a booming economy. I just see how we can play this. Like, this shows that something's gone wrong, and yet it didn't show that here. The data doesn't necessarily mean that this office vacancy is going to be a negative thing. We just don't know, man. In fact, if anything, you could say it's a positive thing. High office space is high growth, right? The surge in office vacancies in the 1980s and early 90s followed years of overbuilding. And we know we had a massive real estate collapse in the at least like a place like Houston in the mid '80s, and then we had the savings loan crisis and all that. But it still wasn't for the average consumer. It, the '80s were booming, the '90s were booming. Yes, there was a segment of the population that there's no joke. I don't know this for sure, but I can almost guarantee you the reason you cannot get a home equity loan in the state of Texas, more than 70% of the loan to value, is because of what happened in the in 1980s, with just massive speculation, massive leveraging, and stuff like that. But the normal guy on the street, that didn't affect him at all. So the surge in 1980s and early 90s followed years of overbuilding. So what does overbuilding mean? Well, that means they focus too much on office space and probably not so much on what? Home building. Obviously, there's two different construction types. We got personal residences versus commercial building. I grant you, but if you have the skill set to be a commercial builder, I assure you have the skill set to be a residential builder too. Now, obviously, there's a different mindset in terms of development. I get all that, but I'm just saying, at the end of the day, did that lead to a massive depression? No. It just, oh, look at him. He's so cute. He's just leaning up against me. No, it didn't. It just made people have to change. That's freaking free markets, dude. Supply and demand. You change where the supply is. You change where the demand is. If the demand isn't for commercial office space, you don't do it. Now in Atlanta, it's nuts. Oh, the baby. In Atlanta, it's cranes everywhere. There's a guy who wrote a book, an economics book. Let's see if I can't find it. It's like a crane index of economic growth. Do cranes on the horizon signal economic growth? And we have a guy that who wrote a book going against that, actually saying the number of cranes show you high leverage and high debt, and then essentially deflation, or at least negative growth, if that makes sense. I just can't remember the guy's name, man. I have it as an Audible book, but I can't find it. Anyway, all right, so let's keep going here. So my point is that when you see this, the building I built was almost 1 million square feet, says Bruce Eichner, who built the Manhattan office tower, 1540 Broadway in the 1950s. It was 100% empty. I mean, in the 1980s, excuse me. The result was a glut of office buildings that couldn't find tenants when the economy went into recession in 1990, as the country suffered from the savings and loan crisis. All right, well, the glut waits on the office market this day and helps explain why vacancies are far higher in the U.S. than in Europe or Asia. Change in office vacancies 1991 to 2023. Palm Beach was down. Sacramento, Milwaukee, San Francisco was up. Well, these are all, I don't think New Orleans, that could probably be not counted because of Hurricane Katrina, but Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach, I don't know if those are lefty towns or not, but we know these guys are. And then these guys are in California, Wisconsin, and these are Florida. You know what I'm saying? You had a shift away from the madmen. I don't even know what that means. Anyway, let's see what some of the conversations are here. This has become a game changer for the market. Again, what I'm trying to say is, if you're freaking out because of stuff like that, you can find always something to be negative on. You always find something to be negative on. At the end of the day, we've all been through this before. The facts are, we survived the savings loan crisis. We survived LTC and long-term capital management crisis, the Mexican devaluation in 1994, something like that. We survived the Asian tiger stuff in the late 90s. We've survived. We've survived, dude. It's crazy. And the markets kept chugging along. Let's see what some guys say. The planned economy, credit inflation rate is credit inflated bubble of construction is one of the things the founding fathers tried to. Okay, there it goes. A credit inflated bubble. And yet, yeah, if you over leverage, you're going to take it on the chin. You know how you don't take it on the chin? You don't over leverage. It's just that simple. You want to stay out of bankruptcy? Don't over leverage. It's just that simple. And if you say, oh my goodness, healthcare costs cause all the bankruptcies, you're just wrong. I've done videos on this. I'm not going to do it here. I talked about it in one of my books. Was it? I don't think it was that one. I think it was one of my book, You Can Retire on Social Security. I talked about the silliness of these people saying bankruptcies are caused by healthcare. It's just not true. Elizabeth Warren should be ashamed of herself, but she's not, because she's, Pocahontas. Investors beware of REITs offloading their zombie properties. Somehow I suspect this garbage is going to end up in a lot of 401ks. Less offices, more homes, and please, no single-family homes. And U.S. needs density. No, they don't, man. I agree with that. We've got enough density in the D.C. swamp. Thank you very much. Yeah, look, or how about just let people decide where they want to live? How about that? Don't wear it. Yeah, well, whatever. The Wall Street Journal to do a follow-up article on where those remote office workers now may be hanging out. For instance, where gyms, yoga classes. That's a good point because what might be an office glut is obviously a capacity someplace else. So these workers are now working from home. What does that do? It stimulates demand for a home. It stimulates demand for coffee places or something like that. So if it's taken over here, this is when economics, the unseen. In fact, let's see if you can't find my man Bastiat. Hold on a second. We're going to look up Bastiat. Right here, Bastiat. The Frederick Bastiat just crushed that which is seen and that which is not seen. The broken window. Have you ever witnessed the anger of the good shopkeeper when his careless son happened to break a pane of glass? If you have been present at such a scene, you will almost assuredly bear witness to the fact that every one of the spectators, were there even 30 of them, you would most assuredly, by common consent apparently, offer the unfortunate owner this invariable consolation. There's an ill wind that blows nobody good. Everyone must live. And what would become of the glaziers if panes of glass were never broken? The glaziers that people make the panes of glass. Now, this form of condolence contains an entire theory, which is what it will be well to show up in a simple case. Suppose it costs 6 francs to repair the broken window, and you say that the accident brings 6 francs to the glassmaker's trade. That encourages that trade to the amount of 6 francs. I grant it. I have not a word to say against it. You reason justly. The glassmaker comes, performs a task, receives his 6 francs, rubs his hands in his heart, blesses the careless child for breaking the glass. All that which is seen. But if, on the other hand, you come to the conclusion, as is too often the case, that it is a good thing to break windows, that it causes money to circulate, and that the encouragement of industry in general be the result of it, you oblige me to ask, stop there. Your theory is confined to that which is seen. It takes no account which is not seen. It is not seen that our shopkeeper has spent 6 francs upon one thing. He cannot spend them on another. It is not seen that if he had not had a window replaced, he would perhaps have replaced his old shoes or added another book to his library. In short, he would have employed his 6 francs in some other way. Let's take a view of industry in general. The window being broken, the glassmaker's trade is encouraged by the amount of the 6 francs, as we've seen. If the window had not been broken, the shoemaker trade would have been encouraged the amount of 6 francs, that is, which is not seen. And if that which is not seen is taken into consideration because it is a negative fact as well as that which is seen, which is a positive fact, it will be understood that neither industry in general nor the sum total of national labor is affected whether the window is broken or not. However, if the kid didn't break the window, we'd have a window and new set of shoes. You see what I'm saying? That's how industry works. But because the kid broke the window, we can't buy a new set of shoes. We got to replace the window. That which is seen, we got to replace the window. That which is unseen. The cobbler could not sell another pair of shoes. And this is it. You see the crane, it's like, oh my goodness. And you see the vacancies, you're like, oh my goodness, these vacancies. But what we don't see is what's going on over here in the suburbs and things of that nature. If anything, this is a slight against its city, the urban areas. You can absolutely see the urban areas not doing so well because of crime, vacancies, less people downtown, less businesses sprouting up, more regulations. You see what I'm saying? It's just going to lead to more suburban life. In fact, they're thinking about building a hockey rink up here in North 400, which would be fantastic because the hockey fans don't want to go to State Farm Arena to watch a hockey game. Oh man, it's already had 2 NHL teams. Well, the one in the 70s was a long time ago. The one in the 2000s, we were mid-range in terms of attendance in the NHL. We were mid-range. So it wasn't because the fan base wasn't there. It's because the owner went bankrupt. Because he did what? He over-leveraged. So anyway, so they're going to build it. Hopefully they're going to build an arena up here and try to get another team. And it'd be huge because a lot of fans who like hockey don't want to travel all the way down Fulton County, knee-deep in downtown Atlanta to witness a game. The traffic, the crime, the freaking, there's just a pain in the butt to drive down there. It's not fun, you know what I'm saying? And then, I've gone to a number of Hawks games, a couple of Falcons games, even a couple of DC United games. So I go, but if I had a thing up there, I'd buy season tickets to it. That'd be all the time. It'd be sweet. Let's hear your thoughts. Don't stress out because we've been through all this before and we'll go through it again. Just the lesson, of course, is don't take debt.